All right, three, two, one. I think we are live. I'm waiting for that timer to go on. All right, here we go. Welcome to what I think will be episode 35 of the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. I am your host, Denny Cards, the self proclaimed jack of all trades, master of none. And as I like to paraphrase Jay Z, you could be listening to any podcast in the world, but you're here with me, and thank you so much for doing so. But you're not here just with me, you are here with a grader from Forensic Card Grading. I am so happy to have this special guest on today because I have consumed so much content in the hobby landscape, and I just don't know. I could be wrong, but I just haven't heard anyone come across my ears who's an actual grader. A lot of people talk about grading, but I feel so fortunate to have talked to the owner of Forensic Card Grading, FCG, and he was willing to have one of his excellent graders here, and his name is Craig. And he's been there since day one. For those of you who do grade with FCG, you may have seen him. He's at card shows such as Dallas, which makes sense because they're based out of South Lake, Texas, and they've been in the national in the past, not this past year in 2023, but in prior ones in Atlantic City, Kansas City, Shreveport, Houston, and they will be in Virginia and Chantilly, which is only like less than an hour drive from my house. So I look forward to meeting Craig there and FCG in general. So I just wanted to say, welcome to the pod, Craig.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to meet you, and it's great to be here.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. So I had no clue who you are until like 5 minutes before pressing record. Just did a little quick kind of chat. And, I didn't know all that about you. You told me about the car shows you've been to, but you also kind of told me that, your history, like how you got into cards. So instead of me saying that, could you kind of like tell us where, your love of cardboard started?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. I've been collecting since I was like 3 years old. My mom used to take us to a Winn Dixie, and we used to grab these little Tiny Toon Adventure cards, and it all started from there. And so I grew up collecting baseball, football, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, just really anything. And then as I got older, I started doing a lot of Magic tournaments. I tried to, play professionally in that situation. Never really got there, but I've always been at, card shops, card shows, just, since I've been a little kid. So
Wow, Tiny Toon Adventures. I definitely remember that cartoon.
yeah.
Watching that as a kid.
And what was cool is we went to this New Orleans show, and there was a vendor set up, and he actually had an unopened pack of Tiny Toon Adventures cards. I wound up buying it for $10, and it still had the price tag 25 cents on there. So it was kind of real nostalgic and something that I'm really happy to have in my collection now. So
Oh my gosh, that's 400 times the original value, I think, if I do the
yeah,
math
yeah,
right.
yeah,
25 cents to $10. That's that guy he held on to that he
for sure,
400x'd his money.
for sure. He
Um
knew somebody like me would buy it, I guess.
What'd you get from it? Do you remember? Any
I
hollow,
haven't
any
opened it.
hits?
I actually don't
Yes.
want to open it. I want to just hold on to it just because the
Yes.
pack and the color and the picture just remind me of
Hmm.
back in the day. So I don't really want to open and look at it. I'd rather maybe just try to get it slabbed or something.
I love that idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, actually, this wasn't one of my questions that I kind of had ahead of time, but since
sure.
you talked about slabbing packs, do you guys, I know it's called forensic card grading, but do you
Mhm.
also grade packs and other things?
We haven't yet. I don't see why we wouldn't, but nobody has come to us and asked us to slab a pack yet. So I would get with Matt and check and see if we could slab it, but I don't see why not. We would
Okay.
probably just slab it without grading it. I would say. I think we would just
Ah,
label it maybe and maybe put authentic on there as
gotcha.
yeah.
But yeah, Matt is the owner
Mhm.
of FCG, and I had a great chat with him in
Yeah.
preparation for setting this up. So how long have you worked with FCG and with Matt?
Sure, I've been there since day one. I mean, I was there before we even opened. I was there, 3 months before he put together a team way before it launched, and we spent, every day for 10 hours straight just working together and coming up with, we wanted to really limit the subjectivity between the graders. So we all sat together grading, 100 cards a day, and uh, came up with a scale and wanted to limit the subjectivity. And so I've known him for about going on 2.5 years now, and he's an awesome guy. So it's somebody good
Awesome.
to know.
So the company itself has been around for 2 years then.
Yes, we just celebrated our 2 year anniversary in July.
Oh, well, congratulations. I
Thank you.
should I should DM Matt that. So 2 years
For
in
sure.
July.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we
Okay.
did a big giveaway, and it was pretty cool. So
Awesome. So, that's really interesting. When you said you guys all worked together to come up with the scale. So, um, well, I guess before I get to the group aspect of things, the
mhm.
collaboration, which I really did not know, occurred. Um, were you a grader in a prior company before this, or what's your grading experience?
No, I don't have grading experience. My experience is with Matt and the graders that were brought on and the scales. But I've worked in different sports card shops around here. I've worked at a comic book shop. I've checked cards coming in. I've done different buy and sells for the shops and things like that. So I feel like I have a good understanding of what is aftermarket damage, what print lines, quality, condition of the cards, and
Mm.
then getting with all the guys and coming up with our scale, and it just all kind of made sense.
Okay. Yeah, and I actually saw your website where you show examples of what you all consider to be tens and nine and a halves and nines and well, actually, I'm sorry, tens, nines. I think you did put nine and a halves in there.
I did say
You all do have your scale is 0.5, is that right?
yes, yeah, 0.5
Okay.
scale.
Gotcha, zero point 0.5 scale. Yeah, I really liked the explanations that y'all had on your website. I think one big thing, oh my gosh, I can't believe I messed up my introduction. Forensic card grading. My first question, because the first question in any interview is the most important. It's super important. There's so much pressure put on it. My question was going to be to you: are you a CSI fan?
Of course, yeah. I also like SVU and all that stuff. So
You
yeah,
do? Oh my
for
gosh.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the word forensic, right? I mean, every card grading company has some sort of differentiator, and so for y'all, it's forensic card grading.
hmm
And so you do like forensic science TV shows. So when it comes to FCG, one thing that I saw as a really nice big differentiator was that you all do grader notes.
Yeah, I think that's one
Y-
of the biggest things that separates us and offers the transparency that we want to see in a grading company is, the grader has to fill out, I'd have to fill out why it graded the way it did. And then you can check that when you get it back, and you should be able to see on the card what we marked, if it's significant. So, yeah.
So because I am optimized for audio, although there will be YouTube or like I'll upload this to YouTube just for the video so I could cut some promo reels. But could you paint us a word picture of how the grader notes would look? I mean, I know that you have examples on the website and on social media, but just for the purposes of this podcast, like, how would the grader notes look? Like, are they handwritten? Are they typed? Are they,
No, that's a good question. So
yeah.
we have printed out piece of paper that have the front of the card like a diagram, and it has spots for us to fill in on the corners, on the edges. It has stuff for us to fill out on the surface. It has the blank canvas. Then it also has check boxes for off center, left, right, top, bottom, and then it also has that right next to it for the back as well. And so we do handwrite in on the paper. We write, fraying on the corners. We write, scratches, separation, damage, dings, dents. And we have a full uh, legend, icon or whatever legend that kind of
Yeah.
shows you, exactly, our abbreviations. And some of these vintage pieces of or grading note sheets can get really, looks like an art, a lot of art was done on there because there's a lot of stuff written on there because these vintage
Mm.
cards have stains and um, creased corners and stuff. So some of them get really kind of out there, but we do our best to try to show you exactly. And we'll sit there and we'll draw in that crease and hopefully make it look exactly like the crease that's on the card as well. So that we get
On the grader notes, you
yeah,
mean,
we get
right? Yeah.
detail on there. Yeah.
So that's interesting because I Matt showed me I think a screenshot from Facebook where someone send you all a 52 mantle to
Yes, yeah,
grade?
and he just posted about it, and he did post the grader note sheet on there for everybody to kind of see.
Yep.
I did see that post, yeah, but yeah, he sent that into us, and I think it was 40, 50K maybe around the value of the grade that he
Hmm.
got. I think he got a 3 on there, but yeah, people are trusting us with some big cards for sure.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
that wasn't a card that you personally graded though.
No, I didn't grade that. No, the
Okay.
grading manager graded that one.
Grading manager.
Their
Okay.
grading
So
manager, yeah.
are you, I don't even know if I spoke to Matt about this and if you're allowed to say, but are you allowed to say like how many, like when you say the team of graders and all you've kind of
Mhm.
got together, maybe not today's current total. If you're able to, that's great. But like how many of you were kind of like sitting around the table with boxes of pizza, kind of talking about this scale that you guys wanted to create? Like,
Yeah,
are you able to say that
five of us,
live?
yeah, and there's still
Okay.
5 graders here today.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
I know there's so
I
much
cleared
about
it
the
with
grading
Matt, so
space,
it's okay.
including Matt. So he's a grader.
No, no, no. I said, including no, no. I forgot what I said. No, no. Matt's not a grader. No, 5 of us are still here today. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
So for me, I'm really appreciative of you coming here because I feel like there's so much secrecy shrouding the whole process, and people want to know more. They want more transparency, and I feel like some of the bigger players they add on these bells and whistles with like, here's how the reveal looks and here's how it all looks. But I think like a lot of other people, I really want to know how the sausage is made.
Mhm.
um so I really, again, I hope what you share is I hope Matt doesn't get upset at you. I hope we don't put your job in jeopardy here. But
Mhm.
so for example, a question that I had come across my way, and I already had it in mind, was how much time does it take to grade a card? And an extension of that question is, does that time change with era, such as vintage, modern, ultra modern?
Mhm. That's a good question. Um, so no, this is kind of all what we do. Like this, the things that you say, asking us questions, and hopefully we're not saying too much. But that's kind of what we do here at FCG is the transparency, and that's why we go to these shows, and that's why I grade out in the open, and people can come around and they can see exactly, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. They can ask questions. That's why we're here, and that's why we're doing what we do right now. And we've said it all along. It takes like we do like 3 to 5 minutes a card, and we really make sure that we see what's on the card and that we're spending time to make sure that it gets the grade that it deserves. And with vintage, I would say that can take a little bit longer. The subjectivity on vintage cards can be a little bit larger, because of some of the damage and some of the stains. You see one card that has, a big stain on there, and you want to make sure that, the other card that has a bigger stain, you're treating those correctly. But yeah, the vintage get a little bit longer, but we do about 3 to 5 minutes a card, and make sure it gets the grade that it deserves. So,
Awesome. A follow-up question to that: does it take longer for you to grade a card that's more rare that you don't see often, or is it like, I guess you gave the range. Three is the lower, five is the upper range.
yeah, and we don't want to sit there and say, oh, this is a card that is more important and it's more rare, so we want to make sure that it's getting, we want to make sure every card that's being sent in is getting the same treatment.
Got it.
Hmm.
Um, no, that's great. Thank you so much. So, a lot of people want to kind of get to know a grader and like what how their day looks and all that. So, one huge myth that I have heard, which I would love for you to either confirm or deny or demur, um, does having a bad day, like in your personal life, or like not sleeping, sleeping on your shoulder, like I slept on my shoulder, it still is like, this is like months ago and it's still
Yeah.
bothering me. But I'm also in my 40s. Does having a bad day affect your grading?
No, I don't think it does at all. And, a lot of times coming up to work is a great escape from, the bad days that you're having, because you get to be up here and you get to grade cards, you get to do what you love. And so, and we have a scale that we all have come up with, and we treat, that scale so if we're having a bad day, we can fall back on our training, and we know exactly what we're supposed to be doing for the corners, for the edges, and then also on top of that, we have secondary review as well. So we make sure that every card gets a second look, and just make sure that it's within our standards.
Awesome. Uh, this is fantastic. So you heard it here directly from a grader. A bad day does not affect them. Kind of like, I mean, this is your job. You're a professional, right? I mean, professionals, like, when let's just talk about athletes. When they're
Right.
on the field, like they can have a bad day, at the home front, but
Hmm.
they got to put their absolute best in because they get paid to do what they're doing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're not robots, but
Hmm.
for you to say that a bad day doesn't affect you just shows, think, your professionalism.
Yeah. If you want to compare me to the Michael Jordan Game 6 when he had the flu, that's cool.
I love it.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Oh man, do not eat the food in Utah if you're playing in the finals there. You will get sick. Um, well, thank you. So because I know that we don't have like the longest amount of time for this, because you got to get back to grading. I mean,
Right,
that's
right, right.
let's be real.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to see if we could tackle each of the classic four subgrade components and kind of see from the creator's eye like what you're seeing. Again, we're not going to be doing it with actual visualization of cards. We're going to just be doing it like, it's radio, like just audio here. So if I could just start with centering.
Sure.
I know that there are some other grading companies where the centering and the back is not as important as in the front, and I'm not going to name who and all that stuff, but Craig, the grader, FCG, how much leeway do you give the back of the card versus the front of the card when it comes to centering? And I guess that question could go for all of these, four components, but for centering particularly, how much leeway do you give the back
Hmm.
versus the front?
No, it's a good question because we definitely give some leeway on the back. We, on sports cards, on the back, it has to be 80/20 or worse for us to consider um, docking the centering on the back. But it also, there's like a little caveat, it also depends on the aesthetics, the eye appeal as well. So if it's right there at the 80/20, but it looks terrible, we might go ahead and dock that, even though it didn't cross that threshold.
Awesome. Okay. And
Hmm.
so for the front, it is much narrower than 80/20,
Well, yes,
I
yes.
imagine. Is it 60/40, 55,
Well,
45?
no. So here we measure every single card
Right.
to the tenth of a millimeter, and we have a scale that we go off of based off of that formula that we use. So we're not just sitting there going, oh, it's a 9. We measure, we make sure that it's within our standards and our scale.
All right, so tenth of a millimeter. I got to ask then before we get to corners, edges, and surface, what are the tools of the trade for you?
Mhm. So we use, I think it's called an Avon Cyclops, and it blows up the card 3 to 4 times. Zoom. We use a monitor as well to see it, and we also use a like a clear plastic see-through ruler. And on top of the penny sleeve, you can get a good measurement if you put the card underneath the scope and then put the ruler up against it and then blow it up. You can see exactly, what it's measuring to. 3.5 millimeters to 4.2. Then we take it, we add it together, divide by 2, and then we get our number.
Ooh, I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have to take a little bit more time on centering then.
Sure.
So you put the penny sleeve on top of the card so you don't damage the card.
Well,
You're
no,
clear.
it's in the penny sleeve.
Oh, it's in
It's
the penny
already in the
sleeve.
picture. That's the
Okay,
first thing we do. Then we're going
yeah,
to remove it out of there after we do the centering.
got it. So you do the centering with the penny sleeve in,
Mm-hmm.
and customers are submitting these to you. I think is it true that card savers are the best way to submit to grading companies, or is it top loaders? Like what do you all prefer?
I like card savers. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to do it. Yeah.
I used to put these pull tabs because I saw someone else do it and they said, "Oh, it really helps the graders," and they like that. Do you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
like that?
Well,
Does that matter?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it matters. I do appreciate the guys who color coordinate
Huh?
their pull tabs. So if they have a red card, they use the red pull tab. If they have
Yeah.
an orange card, they use the orange pull tab. I like that.
You do like the color coordination?
Yeah, yeah, they really went the extra step for that one.
That's so fun. I have not done that. I will just
Right.
use but then no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So plastic ruler on top of the penny sleeve, and then you magnify it up, and then so you add the two numbers and you divide by two.
Hmm.
So that's how you get the center. And so you do that for the top, bottom, left, right.
Yep.
How do you do borderless cards then though?
That's a good question. And borderless cards, there's always going to be something that you have to be able to kind of find the centering. And then again, borderless cards can be open to subjectivity and eye appeal as well.
Okay. So I've actually posted about this a long time ago on my Instagram where I found, like the card that I fixated on because it was from my childhood was the Michael Jordan Scoring Kings, where you can, the one with the lightning in the background. And there's a way to tell how centered it is. If you look at a perfect, gem mint copy, you can see the bottom of his shoe a certain way. In the back of the card, you can see the lip of the L, the top,
Mm-hmm.
not the lip. I don't know the top part of the L,
For the L. Yeah.
the lettering, yeah,
Yeah.
pop up on the bottom, and like I just studied it, right? I mean, I just
Mm-hmm.
like I was obsessed with it. I just couldn't stop thinking about the card and looking at the card and making sure that I had the best copy for the bang for my buck. And but I know that you just can't do that for every single card, right?
Right.
So for that very classic, for me, iconic borderless card, it was not like arduous work. I mean, it was fun, right? I mean, it was definitely a thing that as a hobbyist, I found pleasure in obsessing
Yeah.
over that one card.
That's what we do as well. We take the time to do the research. We study. If there's a card that we got to take 10, 15 minutes on to make sure that we know the exact centering and what to look for. We're going to do the same thing that you did on that Jordan card. I have my own card. It's a 92 Marvel Wolverine Hollow, and the centering's kind of wonky on that one. And I took time to, figure out that one out exactly right. So I know what you're saying in regards
I
to
know
that.
exactly the one you're talking about. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a white border, and he's got the claws out. I mean, he's
Because,
got the claws out in every single one, I guess.
right, right, right.
But he's got the classic mask with the W looking thing, and yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just
You send out like this or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I
Mm-hmm.
remember collecting the Marvel cards as a kid.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what hits were and what weren't.
Sure.
And I can't find them. I'll be honest with you. I found my old basketball cards from that
Mm-hmm.
time. I think my Marvel cards and a lot of my other non-basketball cards were just, goodbye. And
That's what happened to a lot of people.
yeah.
Everybody had a lot of old cards like that. I actually found my old Marvel cards when I started working here. I
Hmm.
went through my dad's garage to find my old cards and I found them. So that was pretty cool.
That might be a really good segue. I was about to do corners, but
Hmm.
edges, right? So when I
Hmm.
found my old cards, what I didn't realize is when these cards are in humidity controlled, temperature controlled areas like attics or basements, you can have like I was going to say significant, but maybe not significant, but enough edge damage where it will lower the grade of a card.
Oh yeah. And the ones that are in the 9 sleeve binders that we used to keep it in, back in the
Hmm.
day, anything like that and in non-climate controlled, yeah, you're gonna if they've been sitting there for a long time, yeah, you're gonna get quite a bit of damage on there, and they could honestly be basically bricked at that point.
Man,
I know because all mine were bricked as well. So I was
we
looking through them all, and they're just all damaged. So they none of them were worth grading. They're just for the nostalgic factor for me.
I don't think I asked for your age, which you don't have to tell me, but I
I'm,
think you
I'm
are
36.
36.
36. Yeah.
Okay, so not that much
Right,
younger than
right,
me,
right.
but so 4 years younger.
Yeah.
So you remember the time when again, like we're literally putting our cards between two slabs, like two plastic or acrylic pieces, and with four screws and
The screw
screwing
down.
them down with a screwdriver. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying
Yeah.
to. I knew it was a screw down, but I was trying
Yeah.
to like just imagining the ridiculousness of the way we used to
Yeah.
store cards.
Yeah.
No bezeled or beveled corners where if it shook around, like if it shook around, remember the ones that weren't screw downs? I mean, some of the screw downs had a little a divot or where the card would
Yeah.
go, and some didn't, right?
You're talking
But
about the plastic case that
Yeah,
just
the
has a
plastic.
cherry
Yeah,
on it, right?
right.
Yeah,
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 the
yeah,
modern one touches that they all have like something in the corner, so
yeah.
if it kind of moves around, it doesn't hit the corner. But we're literally putting them in these old holders. Again, they're not graded slabs; they're just literally just pieces of plastic,
Mhm.
And man, we did some damage to our cards, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did. And that's what I tell people at the card shows. People bring in these cards in the top in the screw downs and in the old stuff that we used to store them. And I will
Yeah.
tell anybody who will listen to me how to properly store your cards going forward so you
Mhm.
don't have any more damage. And we give out a lot of penny sleeves, we get out a lot of top loaders. We come prepared in that regard, and we're always giving that kind of stuff out to people and helping them out with that. So
We were so young and reckless,
I
Craig.
know, and yeah, we were
So-
we were putting them in our bike spokes and riding around
Yes.
with their motorcycles. Yeah,
Well,
for
that's the thing. We were kids back then, but there were adults doing the same thing, and the adults didn't even know any better. And
I
it's
know,
because the
right?
companies didn't know any better. We just
Mhm.
none of us. It was all just I don't know if it was like technology advancements. It's not because it's just plastic. But finally, people wisened up that they should do something about the corners and just UV light protection. Like I have top loaders that from the 90s that they're green. They're we talk about greening
Yeah.
on cards, right?
Mhm.
So,
Oh, yeah, the
okay,
80s
I'm
have
already, yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm already trying to talk about surface, but edges. Let's go back to edges. Do you see the top edge affected more than the other three edges because of the way people kind of like insert their cards into top loaders, or is that kind of like a myth,
No,
or
no,
like,
no. I see the top and the bottom. So a lot of times the bottom gets clipped as well, and you'll see kind of like a peeling on kind of like the final finish of the card.
mhm.
You'll actually see it peeling either on the top or the bottom, depending on how they put it in. But yes, definitely a lot of damage comes from that, putting it in the top loader or the sleeve.
Man, that's
Mhm.
thank you. That's I didn't even think about the bottom, but yeah, I mean that the bottom can definitely get things. So much more top and bottom than left and right versus left and right.
For sure, for sure.
Wow. So similarly, when it comes to corners, do you see one particular corner more ding than others? What
Mhm.
I'm thinking about is people, especially like breakers, and nothing against breakers, but they load up a lot of cards.
Oh my gosh,
But
dude.
some
Yeah.
of them they're just rushing and they're just going so fast. But they put cards in penny sleeves and they put them in the top loaders. And I see sometimes breakers because again they're the ones who are most visible, right? If you're doing it at home, no one's watching. But as a if you are a breaker, you have many people looking at you. Just they're just kind of almost like a credit card. They're just swiping it into the
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
loader, and
Yeah.
sometimes they don't connect.
Yeah,
It kind of
I had to stop getting into breaks because of that. I'd watch it and it would just make my mind just freak out when I would see them just jamming them in there. And
yeah.
so, but yeah, we definitely see the bottom corners
Mhm.
are can be creased or clipped, and it's directly because of the putting it in the top sleeve or the penny sleeve.
Yeah.
And we'll even see the penny sleeve is kind of crumpled at the bottom, so we know that
Yeah.
that was damaged from them doing that. So what we do is to combat that, and you could do it too if you don't do it. Is take some scissors and cut the corner
Mhm.
of the penny sleeve, and then it slides right in there, and you don't have to worry about it clipping.
I've seen people do that. I think some companies even sell it like that.
Hmm.
What I don't like when I've clipped my own corners of penny sleeves is there's that little bit of cardboard still exposed. Now, if you do it really
You
minuscule, you
got to do
can
it
do
very, very, yeah,
very, yeah,
very minuscule. There's a spot where you can do it where it will cover the whole
yeah.
that corner won't be peeking out.
Yeah, there's like a sweet spot, and I'm
Mhm.
still learning. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
believe me, I'm tinkering around. I'm cutting up cards with X-Acto knives. I'm playing with my cards because
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like that's what we have to do in the hobby. Is like you don't have to spend money to have a good time in the hobby. Like you have the cards, you can
Mhm.
admire them, you could play around with them. I'm not talking about like playing around with them like tinker, like toy soldiers and all that, but more of like I haven't shown it on my social media feed yet because I feel like social media can be such a cruel place. But I've cut up my base cards trying to learn how to do custom card art, and you know,
Yep.
uh, but there's definitely an of course it's an art, but there's also when it comes to cutting up the penny sleeves, you have to be so exact and very precise. I think.
Just don't do it with the cards in the penny sleeve, right?
Yeah, that I did not do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no. but
Oh
yeah,
my gosh,
we
can
we
you
cut that.
imagine?
yeah, we cut it perfect, and we just want to make sure that we're not the ones who are, clipping the corners. So I think it protects a lot of our cards when we
Yeah.
cut that corner like that.
There's a way to actually you kind of put the penny sleeve in between your thumb and your index finger, and you kind of roll it a little bit, so kind of
Mhm.
it expands a little bit. I
Mhm.
know maybe I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but I've found that that method helps me not hit that corner so much. So let me
Totally.
ask you before we go to like surface. If you can imagine yourself putting a card into a penny sleeve and a top loader, are you, and I'll tell you who I am first, are you the bottom right corner first person or the bottom left corner first person? So for me, I have the material, the protector in my left hand, like let's say the penny sleeve or the top loader. It's in my left hand. I have the card in my right hand. And when I put the card in, I go bottom right corner first into the penny sleeve.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Are you right-handed?
Yes.
Okay, see, so I'm left-handed, so
Mm.
everything is basically swapped for me. So I hold the sleeve in my right, I put the card in with my left, then I go left corner first. So I think it's just because I'm left-handed.
So I love it. It's like there are some podcasts where people talk about, oh, like, which leg do you put into your pants first? And this is like the hobby version of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but no,
Do you
thank you.
put
Thank you for
two
sharing
socks
that.
on and then your shoes, or do you put a sock and a shoe and a sock and a shoe?
All right. Now we're getting to real questions, Craig, and I love that we're here for this, that you're here for this.
Yeah,
I like to put on right sock, right shoe, left shoe. I
I'm
think
gonna
that's
go
what
with
I
that.
do most of the time.
I do that too, so we're on the same page there.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever met someone who did left sock, left shoe. Oh
Going
no,
to
well actually I was gonna say that type of person. Look, if you're that type of person, that's great. But if you are someone who does like left sock, right shoe, please, I will block you on
Yeah,
Instagram.
don't
That's
trust that. Don't trust that person.
Yeah, that person is a little bit too wild for me. No, but that's cool. I'm glad we did that. I bet
Yeah.
there's so many things in the hobby that we just don't talk about that, I wonder what other people do. Are they like left corner, bottom left corner, bottom right corner? But
I'll
thank you
tell you,
for
man. Some people put the card in where the where up into the card, and the penny sleeve's going down. They do
no,
all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah.
no,
Yes. Yes. Well,
no, those people need to be
especially
arrested.
Magic players, especially Magic
What?
and TCG players are the worst offenders on that one.
Why are they doing that?
But they do the double sleeve, so they
Double
put it
what?
a perfect fit. They put it in upside down, then they put the regular sleeve in, so they have two sleeves. Then they put in a top loader, and then they put their top loader in another top loader, and it just never ends. So they could never be too safe.
I mean, you can be too safe because I mean, one in the history of I don't even know what to say because I don't want to like have the Magic the Gathering players come after
Oh,
me with their
they'll get you.
with their pencil protecting
They'll get
they're
you. No,
they're
what
gonna
it's
come in
for?
with protractors.
Yeah, what it's for is for when they're playing on tournaments and like a drink falls over. Those cards are more protected, and they shouldn't get damaged if
What
somebody spills their
what
coffee or something.
drinks like their
Right?
Mountain Dew
I've
Code
seen it.
Red?
I've seen yeah the code red for sure. Yeah, I've seen it happen. Yeah, I've seen plenty of people spill at these tournaments and stuff. So
Uh,
yeah,
I apologize. I used to be a Magic the Gathering player as a kid too, so I joke because I used to be one. I am not
yeah,
trying to but no, that's hilarious.
yeah,
They
yeah,
go
for sure.
upside down. Well,
Yeah,
I'm calling it upside down, but they do two sleeves on
yeah.
both ends, top and the bottom, and then they put it in the so they don't so can I ask you like Magic the Gathering? I mean, once you slab up a card, you can't that's not tournament play eligible. I mean,
Right,
that'd be really
right.
funny if
You're
it
right.
was,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're in the
And
middle of
so
the deck.
you just come with a deck full of like 60
Slap.
slab cards. Yeah. I never thought of that. But no, like the cards that we see in Magic are a lot of like collectible or like old cards that aren't even tournament legal anymore. You don't really see like
Mm,
standard cards that are legal right now in tournaments. People aren't just sending in, the
legal.
most recent Planeswalker. That Planeswalker probably has to be like numbered, hollowed, pre-release, or something special about that card for us to slab it up and it be a collectible.
Wow.
And they actually just released serialized Magic cards. I don't know if you knew that or not, But so now they're doing like 1 out of 500, on certain cards.
Yeah, the One Ring certainly got a lot of attention, and it makes
Yeah,
sense that they would have other parallels with that.
yeah,
You know, I if someone's a sports card only listener and they get bored by this, it's fine.
right.
I'm Denny cards. I don't discriminate. All cards. My
Yeah,
kids love Pokemon. I used to collect Magic. I don't spend a lot of money in Magic, but I definitely have some Magic cards here around me. I used to always call the doppelganger Vesuvian. I used to call it Vesuvian. I don't know why, but it stuck in my head as Vesuvian doppelganger for the longest time.
I like that better.
But I love I remember, man, the Senger Vampire was like the dopest card. I mean, just that the blood, just the
Yeah,
blood down the face and like the tongue and just I mean, when we talk about artwork, I mean, cards as art. I mean, sports cards of course are people love their sports cards and it's a piece of artwork, but literally these TCG cards are just absolutely stunningly beautiful.
yeah, and they got professional artists that they get to
Hmm.
make this artwork, and yeah, that's what I like about them the most is the artworks for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I now I want to rip some Magic the Gathering. See, if they had Magic the Gathering like Harry Potter, because I know right now they just did Lord of the Rings. Like I wasn't a Lord of the Rings guy.
Yeah,
I mean, not that I was a huge Harry Potter guy, but I read the books and I watched the movies, and I'm enjoying it again with my kids, and I love that world. I'm just not a huge, you know, Lord of the Rings guy. I mean, if they did like Game of Thrones, that'd be a game changer.
I bet you here soon that they might do something with Harry Potter. They've been doing a lot of different collaborations. Like they did
Yeah.
some with Street Fighter. Did you see that one?
No, I saw it.
That was good.
Shout out to
I bought
Master of
those.
Flicking Cardboard. I don't know if he's going to be listening to this, but he had some awesome Street Fighter cards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bought those in Hollow, and I just thought they were so cool.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Hmm.
All right, you played that game in the arcades,
Oh yeah.
joystick,
Oh yeah.
quarters. You put the
Hmm.
quarter in front of the screen to say
Yeah.
you
I
got
got next.
next.
Yeah. Yeah. I got next. Yeah.
Dude, man, that kids nowadays just like Dave and Buster just swiping, swiping,
I know,
swiping. And it's
right?
like, no,
Yeah.
y'all don't remember the quarters.
I know,
You had
man.
to you had to get to like
The
in New York
fun
City for
times back
me.
then.
Well, let me ask you. So you grew up in, I mean, right now you're in South Lake, Texas.
Mhm.
Did you grow up there?
Well, I grew up in a little suburb close to South Lake. It's considered HEB, Hearst Euless Bedford. So yeah, I've been close to South Lake all my life. Yeah.
All right. This is the second time HEB has come up. That is the name of a grocery store chain in
Yeah.
Texas, right? And the
Yeah.
San Antonio Spurs do a lot of advertisement with them.
Yes. 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 And
Is it
our
called,
city name is also HEB, or the Tri City is what we call it is HEB.
get out of here. So is it called Heb or is it HEB?
HEB.
See, that's what I thought. And shout out to oh my gosh, now I can't remember exactly. I think it was Courtney Reckless from Reckless Cards, but we had a conversation about grocery stores and HEB and Heb, and I'm like, I think it's HEB, and it was like, what? Why would anyone say it like that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not Texans, but
No, the Heb is kind of just sounds silly. Heb. I'm going to
I'm going to Heb.
Heb.
It's like going to the gym. I'm going to the gym. But no, HEB. Yeah, okay. So that's the main grocery store in Texas.
Well, yeah, I guess we don't even have one here, so that shows you how weird that is, right?
Wow. What I mean, where do you get your victuals from?
Yeah, we go to Walmart, we go to Target, Kroger,
Walmart.
whatever.
Target.
Yeah,
Got it.
we live in the metroplex, so yeah, there's
Gotcha.
billions of
Okay, so
places.
that's what you mean. You still go to Walmart, Target. You said Kroger. There's Krogers in Texas? I thought that was like
Yeah,
a southern thing. Okay. All right, now we've really
we got us.
deviated, but I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
that's
No,
good.
this is great. I've the only time I've ever been into Texas was like airports, Dallas, Fort
Mhm.
Worth, or Houston.
We're like 10 minutes from the airport. You should stop by one day if you
10
ever
minutes from
on a
there.
layover. Yeah.
How close are you guys to San Antonio?
Oh, like 5 hours, 6 hours, I think. Four,
Oh,
4 or 5 hours, I
look.
think. Yeah. Yeah, we're about to travel down to Houston this weekend, and we're gonna take a car ride down there for about 5 hours and go
Is
to.
is that the TriStar convention
I,
card show?
don't quote me. I don't know.
But it is a card show.
It's a Conroe, Texas card show. I don't know if it's TriStar.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay, okay,
it's
yeah.
Conroe.
Because there's a one called TriStar for sports that is pretty popular in Houston. I know that a lot of people. There's a lot of attention coming to San Antonio for in just 2.5 weeks here. the Wemby lottery, I guess you call it. I don't know, but
Hmm.
the 99. We'll see if they're even 99. But green parallel holders of the Wembanyama. Oh my gosh, I totally messed that up. Wenbanyama.
You said it better.
Um,
I
Out of
don't.
99 Bowman University Chrome. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I've been seeing that price kind of fluctuate up and down here lately. So if he goes out and balls out of this season, yeah, you're going to see a lot of lucky guys.
Ooh,
Like
they're going to be so
this.
happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So we're at the 40-minute mark, and I know I don't have you for that much longer. So we talked about, just to recap, about the force upgrades. Recap: centering. We talked about edges. We talked about the corners. So I guess we have just surface left, and then I'm gonna probably have to say, let you go to go grade more cards for customers.
For sure.
Um, Surface. So the way I see surface, there are two ways, and please correct me because again, this is just my layman look perspective at things. There's the card production surface issue, like print lines, and then there are the human or person afflicted damage, like fingerprints, or
Mhm.
again, like some scratch from a penny sleeve, or I don't know, like right, just something that a person did that the card manufacturer didn't do.
Right.
Um, you which type of well, let me ask this first. Are there other types of surface damage, or did I cover that with those two umbrellas?
I think you covered most of it. So yeah, there's the production issues that we see, like print lines and maybe little bubble dents and things like that you'll see. But then there's also like the aftermarket damage that you'll see, like scratches or discoloration, flaking, um, fingernail dents. We see a lot of fingernail dents. You'll see
Yeah.
it is exactly like the boomerang style,
Mm-hmm.
and we just know somebody just accidentally you know, we were at a card show one time, and this guy was pointing out his cards to us, and he wanted a grade 10, and he went, and there's no protector on it. And he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he just slammed his fingernail on every single card that he owned. And I'm like, okay, well, you just knocked those down to sixes.
Wow. Oh
They
my
don't understand. I just
goodness.
don't think some people understand that they're very delicate. So if you're
Yeah.
if you're hitting that thing, or some people write on the back of like a price tag, right? So vendors who put a price tag and they write $25, that 25 then is imprinted onto the back of the card. So we'll see stuff like that, and that stuff is blatant, and we have to hit for that. So, but yeah, those are the two different. You got your pre production and post production issues that we look for.
These unfortunately are the mouth breathers of the hobby. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness. Writing on a card.
yeah,
That's just
yeah.
okay. You know what? I shouldn't judge because who knows? I could have done that too, although I don't think I have. Um, Thank you for calling it aftermarket damage. That's a great way to put it because I didn't think about it like that. But aftermarket damage,
Mhm.
production damage. Which one do you see more of as a grader, like come through your desk?
Probably probably the stuff from the
Print.
production.
Got it.
We
Print
see a lot
lines.
of print lines. We see a lot of dents, little bubble dents. Off bevel. A lot of the bevel that goes around the card, there will be some dents there. Now we're not hitting that very hard, but it's there, and on other cards it's not. So we're going to have to hit it just a little bit. So we do take into consideration that it came from the manufacturer like
Yeah.
that. So we take that into consideration.
I'm so glad you said that because I have heard some other grading companies or just people talk about how certain sets, and I'm not picking on Panini or
No,
football, but
please,
I will
please
say
keep on
2022
Panini.
because I rarely talk
Keep on
about
me.
specific cards, but 2022 Phoenix football, I saw so many cards with print lines
Hmm.
in that set, and people were like, "Well, don't worry if you grade that." And I was like, "I don't know. Well, why don't you grade it, not me? Like,
Yeah,
you put your money into it."
yeah,
But they were like, "Yeah, if you grade it, then they take into consideration, they being the grading companies, take into consideration that this is very endemic of that set and common to the point where they'll absorb that into the grade itself." But you are saying that there are certain situations where you all know, okay, this set is known for this, so we're not going to ding it too hard.
right. And if it's like a print line and everything else is good on the card, it can still gem.
Mm,
As long as the print line isn't deep and cutting through, and the first thing you see is just a jagged print line on there, we're
Mhm.
still going to let the if it's just a print line and if it's faint and
Faint.
everything else is good on the card, it can still gem.
Right, because it's almost like a scale where like you are taking all four grades in consideration, and I think FCG does the same thing as others, where you can't get a grade higher, 0.5 higher than the lowest of the four, something like that. Is that right?
As long as it's in corner or centering. So if your lowest grade is in
Mm,
corner or centering, it can only be 0.5 higher.
mhm.
If it's surface or edges, we allow for it to be 1 point higher. So you could get a 9 on your surface and 10 on the rest of the card, and we're still going to give you a gem on that card.
Love it, and I'm sure other places do it differently,
Hmm.
but FCG, what you just said, I think that's fantastic.
Hmm.
This is like I love doing these recordings because I get the information first. Like, I will
Well,
publish this out.
yeah.
Likely, I'll do it early next week or later this week. But to hear it directly from you know the proverbial horse's mouth, I think is fantastic. This is so great, and I know we're at 45 minutes. I promised Matt that I wouldn't have you longer for much longer than that.
Hmm.
So let me just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Not just for the force upgrades, but getting for us to get to know you more. You talking about Winn Dixie, Tiny Toons Adventures, Magic the
Right.
Gathering,
Yeah.
and also I this has to be a first in the hobby podcast world, talking about how we sleeve up and top load our cards, and how we put our socks and shoes on.
Yeah, no, that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to dispel a lot of the secrecy in the hobby. We're trying to get it out there. We're trying to be transparent. One thing that I did want to say,
Hmm.
if your card's a 10, it's going to get a 10. And I go into every single card hoping that it's a 10, and only until I look at the card and I see some issues going on am I going to, take it out of that 10 category. I want to give 10s out. And if your card's a 10, it's going to get a 10.
Awesome, thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to say? I think that's a great way to close it. But
For sure. No, I just want to say thank you for having me. I've never gotten to do a podcast before, so I appreciate the opportunity. And I just love talking about the hobby and anything card related. So if you ever want to have me back on, I'll be happy to come back
oh,
on.
absolutely, you did. Can I just say you did marvelously. You did excellent.
Thank you. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
that. I
much.
wasn't I wasn't nervous at all last night. So no.
Sometimes you just gotta rip the band-aid. You just gotta
Right,
go and do
right,
it.
right.
That's the approach that I've been taking with a lot of stuff in the hobby. You
Yeah.
just gotta do it.
Yeah,
So,
that's what we've been doing.
um,
We've been plugging away at the hobby, and we've done 3 shows back to back. All 3 weekends, we've done 3 shows back to back. So we've been grinding over here, trying to get our
nice.
face out there, trying to get people to listen to us and what we'll say. And we say all this stuff to the people at the show as well. So
Spread the word of transparency and
that's right.
accountability.
Right.
I'm gonna see you in Chantilly though for sure.
Okay.
So, and I'm
Okay. Well,
definitely
I
gonna
look
drop by
forward
and
to
say
meeting you
hi.
in
I'll
person.
definitely I mean straight up, like I've tried 4 different grading companies. I want to try yours. I want to submit, so I will definitely be putting
Cool.
in some cards and
I'm gonna
maybe.
look. I'm gonna look for your box. What's the name on the box gonna come by as?
Oh, I have no clue. All I know is that there's gonna be a lot of fingernail dents on it. You'll know it by
Okay.
like just a
And
lot of.
there was one thing that you had said about fingerprints,
Yeah,
and in the questions that you had, and
yeah.
we have a microfiber on our desk,
Mm,
and we're not in the business of hitting you for fingerprints as long as it's in an area that we can wipe it off and remove it
yeah.
carefully. We're going to remove that fingerprint
Oh,
for
that's so nice.
you.
I don't think I don't know if other grading companies do that, but that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, th-
A lot of guys kind of get, when they're putting their cards in, they kind of get their little sweaty hands on there, and we'll just
yeah,
kind of take it off for you. So yeah.
that's very nice. But I imagine you're not getting that Mountain Dew code red off. So
No, or the weird residue on the back of the card that I have
yeah,
no idea what it is. No, we're not getting that off. That's staying on
gotcha.
there.
Craig, thank you again so
You're
much.
welcome. Yeah,
Hope you have a great rest of your day grading
you too.
cards,
You
and
too.
we'll definitely be in touch. Or when I
Sounds
say
good.
we, I will be in touch with
Yeah, I
all of you. You guys
look
are
forward to
awesome.
meeting you at the Virginia show.
Awesome. All
All
right.
right, man.
Take
Have a
care.
good one. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.